I guess on my hair, she look all right. And with that actually sitting there like this creams, and I had to have them, sis. All 5 of them. Here, I just had, we're gonna discontinue it, but I had to pick up their book of shadows, honey. Color grade makes cheap fan, expensive breeze, good times. Why so serious? What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Torrence here, and in today's video, I promised you all I was going to bring you the eyeshadow tutorial that I did in my Fenty Beauty Powder Foundation. But you know what? Because I did push it back a little bit, I decided why not go ahead and show them not only this very simple eye tutorial, I promise you it is 2 eyeshadows and 1 highlighter, but I decided, you know what? Go ahead and show them a full face tutorial because it's been a while since I've done one. I did not go into extreme detail on each and every single step, but I will have all tools and products listed in the description bar below. This is the exact same look that I wore in that previous video. I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to show you all the primers, all the powders, everything that we did, and I promise you this is a very simple look to do. It's just I'm somebody who likes to go over the top, so I do have a lot of steps. But if you all would like to see how I achieve this nice, beautiful, warm, bronzy look using Fenty Beauty products, just go ahead and continue to watch. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I really wasn't expecting to do this eyeshadow tutorial because it was just something I threw together. In my last Fenty Beauty foundation review, I'll leave that video link right here above, I went ahead and just threw 3 shadows. I'm telling you, well, actually 2 shadows and a highlighter right across the eye just to get out the door, and you all absolutely loved it. So today I'm going to be showing you how to recreate that look, and because I do have plans after this, I am going to be doing a full face. So first, what I want to do is just go ahead and prep and prime my skin. So I'm going to be using primers. Any and all tools that I use in all my tutorials is always linked in the description bar below, but I'm going to go ahead and throw on some primer. I believe in that video I was wearing my favorite 2, the 2 I use most likely. This one here is going to go in the T-zone for oiliness. This one here is just to cover my complexion, and I'll be right back after we do that. Next, we're going to take the Fenty Beauty Powder Foundation. I wear the shade 345, and you're going to use your favorite full coverage foundation brush and put that all over your entire face and neck, including the eyelids. I truly believe this is about as much coverage as I'm going to get out of this foundation. But then again, that's all we need. It has truly covered everything except my darkest acne spot there. But letting that peek through a little bit is actually going to make it look a little more skin-like. And because this is a powder foundation, I don't feel the need to go in and set above it. So we can go straight in with our eyeshadows. Now to achieve this look, you can use any eyeshadows that you have and any brushes. I feel as if you're going to need a larger and a smaller blending brush. I'm going to be using the Wayne Goss number 16 and number 17 brush to get the job done. And for eyeshadows, I'm going to be using the Moroccan Spice palette by Fenty Beauty. They no longer sell this palette, but you don't need the entire thing. I'm only going to be using 2 shades. This one here, Cumin Get It, and this shade here, Henna Sea. It's just a medium toned and a dark brown shade. They are both warm toned. You can actually swatch both of these 2 shades here. And I'll bring the palette closer just so you can see those 2 shades and show you the swatches of the 2 shades that we're going to be using. And this is what the Moroccan Spice palette looks like. It's just a warm neutral palette. Although it is sold out now, it did go on clearance before it finally did sell out. So this was something I paid full price for, but most people did get it at a discount, and I hope you did not get rid of this palette because it is absolutely fabulous. Here is swatches of the 2 shades we're going to be using. On the left, we have the warm brown shade, Come and Get It. On the right, we have the darker shade, Henna Sea. I promise you, more than likely, if you have more than one warm neutral palette, you can find similar shades like this. It's just that I really enjoyed this palette, so this is the palette I'm going to be using today. Hey you guys, what's up? It's Torrence here, and I just realized this would be like my 2nd or 3rd time actually using this palette on my channel, and I've never done complete swatches. So instead of just doing swatches on the 2 shades I'm going to use, we're going to go ahead, jump cut, and I'm going to show you what all swatches look like of this palette. Honey, I'm not sure if you catching this whole thing, but as you can see, it is a lot of swatches to see because there are 16 shades in this palette here. I wanted to make sure I finally went ahead and did this because one of my very first get ready with me's was with this palette, but I've never went ahead and actually swatched to see what everything looks like. So this is what it looks like from afar. In order to give you the shade names, I am going to bring this a little bit closer and then tell you the shade names as we come across them. Before I gave you the shade names, I did just want to give you close-up views of all the shades here, just so you can see exactly what this palette looks like. And these last 4 did not swatch bad because they were bad shadows. It did that simply because the skin near my wrist is a different texture, and trying to twist that and do everything, it was my fault that they dragged like that, but all colors were only swatched once. Now for the shade names. Although the pans were, laid out weird, I managed to figure it out. So we're going to start off with the shades left to right. Our first shade is Moroccan Ice. The second shade is Mirage. Third shade is Casablanca. Fourth shade is Marrakesh. Fifth shade is Shisha Smoke. Number 6, Sahara Stunner. Number 7, Quicksand. Number 8, Dessert Baked. Number 9, Evil Genie. Number 10, Fez Up. Number 11, Saffron. Number 12, Come and Get It. The last 4 are number 13, Sock It To Me. Number 14, Nuts and Dates. Number 15, Henna Sea. And number 16, Spice Trip. And I ain't gonna lie, it honestly feels good to know I actually have swatches up of this palette, because if it was up to me, honey, I'd just did them 2 shades and kept it going. But because I know how helpful that is for you all, I never mind doing it. Honey, I have loaded my brush up. I haven't even added any additional powder or anything, because if we blow it out too far, we can always clean that up with our concealer. But we're just gonna start with the outer half here and just blow that up and out. We just want a really nice soft wash of color. And I want to take this nice and high. Just going back and forth. No care in the world, honey. This is not the day where we were worried about anything. When I tell y'all, we just got this on and kept it moving. And just because I want a little more opacity with that, You see how fast we did that first one? We're going to do it one more time, but I want to blow this up a little further on this side. I'm going to start on the outside again, blow this up a little further, come up high. I want to make sure I smoke that up and out. Baby. And you see how fast she built up, how fast she's blending out. And you just want to make sure you don't have no harsh line. Right here, just soften things up, bring her up a little higher. And that's it. We're going to take that then, load up your brush on one side, like completely load her up, and press that on the entire outer corner. I like to bring it almost to the halfway point because it won't even matter. We'll cover it later. When you just press that down, you can even go in with a second layer just to make sure that that area is completely opaque and done. Do that with the larger brush, just like that. So you got one side that's not done, this side has started off. I'll be right back. We're just going to jump cut and do the same thing on this side. Alright, you see, we got both sides going. We do got some fallout right here, but truth be told, I ain't worried about it because we can either A, dust it off, or B, clean it up with concealer. When I tell y'all, this is a simple, we're not going to stress ourselves out look, I meant just that. Next, we're going to go into this shade here, Henna Sea, and use our smaller blending brush, and we're going to use that in our outer V as well as our lower crease. We're going to load our brush up, dust off any excess, and once again, start on the outer half. We want to start as low into the crease as we can, and we just want to deepen things up. Once you notice it's starting to get a little deeper and there isn't so much product on the brush, then you can go ahead and start to lift up the brush just to diffuse those edges. Because this brush is smaller, it won't diffuse out as high and as far as our first brush, and we really don't need it to. And we don't want this to be too dark. We just want this to deepen up the crease. Soften up those edges. And you see how that side just sinks in a little more than this one. Gonna go back in, pick up a little more product, knock off the excess, and then we're gonna use this and we're just gonna sweep back to deepen up the outer V. That way we have a slight transition. And the further out toward the end you get, the harder you can press because we want the deepest color to be on the outer corner here. And that's it. You can just do this till there's no color left on the brush, but I'll be right back. I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. Alright, you see we have our crease is a little deepened up. It's still nice, soft, warm, and neutral. Now it's time to go in and top things off. And for our lids, instead of using that shadow from there, I'm going to be using my Diamond Balm All Over Diamond Veil in the shade Cognac Candy. I love the Fenty Beauty Diamond Balms. I have every single color they've released. And even though I knew this shade was going to be too dark to use as a highlighter on my complexion, honestly, I haven't tested it out yet, but I just looked at it and figured so. I had to have it. The name Cognac Candy sounded so good to me. And today, we're going to use this all over the lids. And before we put this on the eyes, I want to give you a close-up view of this as well as a swatch. Honey, this here is what the compact looks like. It is stunning. It looks like a nice deep bottle of champagne, honey. When they say Cognac Candy, it just sounds amazing. But this compact is the first reason I got it, but the inside was the second reason. And look at her, honey. When I tell you the way she just glistens in the light, you can tell I've used her plenty of times, especially when I just swatched her. She's soft, she's creamy, she's sparkly, she's beautiful. And I say everyone should get her while you still have the chance. And for the longest, I could not get my camera to give me swatches of the Cognac Candy. I realized if I put a darker color with it, it'll probably pick it up, and it has. So that first shade is a swatch of Cumin Get It. The second one is Henna Sea. And up close, there is a stripe right there where it shows Cognac Candy. It does have a rather sheer base when you swatch it, And right next to it, I smeared it out just to show you what it would look like across the skin. So I may even be able to use this as a highlighter because it has just a nice glimmer across the skin. But I'm telling you, once we put it on the eyes, it comes off much more full and much more pigmented. And I am so shocked to see that I could potentially wear this as a highlighter because just looking at it in the pan, it came off as too dark. But today, we're just going to go ahead and stick to the original routine we did previously. I'm going to take my favorite shader brush. This one is discontinued, but I will leave the name of it in the description bar. And you're just going to load your brush up. I'm just going to pick up as much product as I can get on here. Because, honey, I don't like to play about my shimmer shades. I like to go ham with them. And what we're going to do once we have this on there is we're just going to load it right on the eyelid. We're not going to cut our crease. We're not going to put any glue or anything down. We're just going to start near the lash line and bring it up. And when I tell you, honey, look at that. Look at the way that shine just comes across. And I like to take it all the way up to the crease. Pick up a little bit more. And she layers beautifully, honey. I like to take an opaque line all the way up there to the crease like that. Just press, press, press all the way up until we get what we want. And then when we come to the edge, we want to just slightly soften it up when we get close to the outer V. But I'm really worried about getting most of that right there near the crease because once we have it everywhere we think we want, I don't want a harsh line. So then I'm going to take that same brush and just buff it back and forth in the crease line just to make sure we are pushing that product all the way into the crease and diffusing any harsh lines. Just rock her back and forth. And if you feel as if you skipped any area on the eyelid, just swipe across, pick it up, smooth again. I didn't, but I just wanted to show you. Just like that. And bam, that's the top half of the eyelid. I'm going to go ahead and do this on the other side and I'll be right back. And look at how soft and pretty that is, honey. It looks like a warm sunset. Before we go any further, just to help save myself a little bit of drama, I'm just going to take a clean brush and dust off any extra eyeshadow. Although my concealer don't need no help, there's no point in giving it a fight if it don't need one. We're just going to dust away some of that excess fallout because when I tell you I wasn't worried about it, I was just moving fast. As you saw, we was just getting it going and she's still soft and blended. Now I want to show you how we're going to clean up the eyeshadow. I'm just going to take my favorite concealer. We already have our base down. And I'm going to use the Too Faced. This is the Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. This is in the shade Golden Beige. And I'm just going to use this the same way I would normally highlight. And when we go in to clean up, actually I want to do up here first. I like to just do 2 dots underneath each eye. 2 on the chin. On the lip, and the rest goes up to the nose and the forehead, and I just try to get all the rest of it off right here. And I like to start off where I need the least amount of product because I know my sponge is going to absorb some. So I'm going to start off here with the chin, lip, nose, forehead. And by giving this a few more seconds to dry down, it'll provide just a slight bit more coverage underneath the eyes. But I like to do all these areas first just to make sure my sponge has already did all the absorbing he needs to do. And then I'm going to show you on this side exactly how we're going to clean up our eyeshadow because you see we blended it all the way up and around here. You could personally leave it rounded if you like that shape, but because I have hooded eyes, I like to blend my concealer up just to give me a lifted appearance. So what I'm going to do is first start behind the concealer and blend forward just because I want to make sure I get all the way up to the inner eye corner, and then I start to bring it back And while I'm coming back, what I want to do is start lower than what I want it to be to clean up the eyeshadow. And as you see, just doing that there, it's already given a slightly lifted appearance. But then once I don't have so much product on my sponge, I can take and press and bring that line a little bit closer to diffuse it, because I don't want it to stay exactly right there. But I'm just going to follow the shape of my eye and just get a little bit closer when there's slightly less product on my sponge, because I don't want to go in when it's at full capacity and have the ability to cover everything, because if I go too fast and mess up, I have full coverage concealer in that spot. And as I keep going, I'm like, okay, where can I get a little more? I see a dip right here. So then I know I can come in, go a little closer there, keep blending up and following that line. If I would have went straight in and created that line, it would have been extremely sharp. By coming in slower, as I have less product, it lifts it and it gives me a slight line, but it's not extremely harsh or anything right now. Then I'm just going to come around and diffuse that. Bring it all the way up the side of the nose. Alright, and now I can do this on the other side, and I'll be right back. Hunty, she's covered, honey. And that's only one dip of this concealer. That's why when I tell people it is full coverage, I don't see how people be going in dipping back and back and back and forth, honey. One dip does the whole face for me. As you can see, she is lifted, she is bright. Now it's time to set everything. I like to use this mixture of powder that I have. I am going to go in and bake my entire face. If you don't feel the need to do so, I understand, but I like a fuller coverage. If you would like to know exactly which two powders are mixed in here, it'll be in the description bar, but I'll be right back after I completely bake. And to help give the eyeshadow a sharper edge, powder we place down, come in and act as a guide, help diminish the look of any color that is underneath it. I'll go ahead and make sure we set this all the way up the sides of the nose. Hit all those highlighted places first. And honey, I'm telling you, for most people, this is far more than you would need to bake. I like to just do the highlighted areas and the sides of my nose because my nose gets the absolute oiliest. Then I like to go in with my bronzer brush, and I will take whatever little powder I have left, swirl it right here on this coaster that I have my powder on, knock off the excess, and just use that and just swirl it really fast across the face to help set the rest of that. And sometimes I'll even grab some of that powder from the baking area and bring and maneuver that around. Technically, this can be considered baking as well, but I like to just call it a heavy set. And then I'm just going to use that and sweep that powder all over the other areas of the face because we set down more than enough to get everywhere done. Because trust me, once that top layer sets in, everything else on top of that is just excess. And then this just ensures that I have enough powder all over the face. And once we do that, it's time to knock it all off. We want to take Knock off as much powder off that bronzer brush and just start buffing and dusting as much of that powder off as possible. Just sweep underneath the eyes. We won't get everything right there close. We'll come back and get the rest later. Nose, forehead. Then you want to go back to your KVD number 25 brush or whatever brush you use to set the highlighted areas. Use that to really buff and dust everything away. I like to use this to really get right there underneath the eye. Make sure you buff all of that powder away because you do not want an excess amount of powder just sitting there when we go to spray and set everything. Bam, bam. Now that we've got our base done, I want to go ahead and finish off the eyes before I go in and finish off the face off camera. Next, we want to take and get ourselves a nice pencil brush. I personally like using my old MAC, what is this, the 219 brush. This is discontinued, but any pencil brush will work. And honey, I don't know what's been going on today, but I'm glad I caught it. So far, the only thing I have done so far is my lower lash line. I did not realize my camera was not recording, but while it was down, the only thing I did was take a pencil brush in this shade Come Get It, and I used that and buffed that on the lower lash line. Now I'm taking a push liner brush. This is the Wayne Goss 08 brush, and we're using this shade Henna Sea, and we're using that to line the lower lash line. I've already done this side. I just have to finish up on this side, and I'm so glad that I caught that before we went any further. Now that we finished with the eyeshadow part, we want to go in and put on some mascara. Like, I love the Fenty Beauty mascara, but I love better than mascara. There's a little bit of primer underneath, so I'm going to put the Lancome mascara primer on first, then my mascara. A little Fenty Beauty mascara. I personally like to do bottom lashes first, just because I feel as if I get those out the way, I have a lesser chance of my eyes watering. I'm like, before my eyes get irritated, I need to have those bottom ones done and gone. And while I give my mascara time to dry, I'm going to go in with my Urban Decay Demolition Eyeliner and use this on the lower lash lines. But I love using dark brown instead of black anytime I want a little bit of drama, but not something that takes over the look. Honey, I promise you, if it's one thing I don't like doing on camera, it's eyeliner. I just find as if I can get close to the mirror, I can do that myself. But because we got y'all here, we couldn't pull that off. And just to make sure we don't get no smudge mascara, honey, because I be working really fast, I like to just take a Q-tip, run it right underneath the eye. Anything that has dried will flake straight off. And we're good to go. Now we can go ahead, brush through these brows. I know in that last tutorial I used my ABH brow pencil. Because I meant to use my Fenty one, that's the one we're going to use today. I got the shade, which one is this? Dark brown. This is the Brow MVP, honey. I like to save it for a special occasion, and today feel like one. We're going to use this, and we're going to start tracing that bottom first, feathering it in, sis. up and bink. And I like to just lightly hit the top, not as dark, not as harsh. Like 50% shish. Then you want to go in and fill in a little bald spots. You don't want them to be as dark as the rest of the hair, but you don't want them to be as light as the skin around it. Done. And we don't want it to be a complete pointy tip, but we want it to be a little sharper than what she is. We're going to do the same thing on the other side, but this the brow that give me issues, so I have to be back after I do this one. Alright y'all, now that we done filled them in, we could take us a cheap little e.l.f. spoolie and brush them through, because we don't want all those harsh lines to stay there. And it's mostly just diffusing those lines on the very top and the very bottom. Then we're going to go ahead and set everything with our ABH Clear Brow Gel. I like to use disposable ones just because I like my clear gel to stay just that, honey. When you be double dipping over time, that stuff start to turn a different color and it just, ooh. I can't do it, sis. Then we're just going to go ahead, brush this straight up and out. Like that, honey. Brows are set in place. Oh, almost forgot to go in and do my final features, honey. I got to go in and contour this face. I done put all this stuff on and we ain't got no features. Gonna use my KVD Vegan Beauty Subconscious Contour Powder. And you go ahead and just contour whatever features you feel as if are necessary, honey. I really like to go in and snatch right here since we put all of that dang on highlighter on there. I mean, concealer to highlight our features. We got to go back in and contour them. Alright, now as you can see, honey, we done snatched this nose. Wayne performed miracle surgery on it today, but she's gonna be good enough to get out there into these streets. Now, for me, I know a lot of other people don't do this area, but I got to because the lips is my favorite part of the body. And what you ain't gonna do is just highlight right above there and just give me that little mustache looking thing. So I like to go in and just put a line between that, just to bring that natural dip back that is there. But because we got so much concealer there, you can't tell. We're going to slightly contour around the edges of it too, to bring a realistic looking shadow to it. See how that just came back in? I always do the harsh line first, just to make sure that's the darkest, then buff her out. At the center and on the edges. You just keep bringing them in closer and closer so that line looks less harsh, less bold. Normally I would take a lot more time to get this done, but it ain't that serious. It was all about the eyes today. And although we are not wearing blush today because I wanted this look to be nice and soft and subtle, we are going to contour our cheeks just because I love emphasizing my features, honey. I might have fat cheeks just because I got a little extra weight on me, but we're going to have high cheekbones when we get through with this. So we're going to start at the hairline, work our way toward the corner of the mouth, and stop halfway there. Bam. Bam. Chin. Double chin. Swipe a little bit right there because like I said, double chin. And then just because I have a 5 head, honey, we're going to bring her down to a 4 head. Knock off that excess powder. Start around the edges. Ooh, and I want the most right back here where it's at the high point, honey. Shrink her already. Look at that. Ain't even buffed her out yet. But we want to go back in around the perimeter. Create more depth and dimension in the face. And now everywhere we just striped and created a harsh line, we're going to go back in and take our time to buff her out. Starting with the cheek. We don't want to erase her, but we do want to minimize her. And sometimes just putting just the tiniest bit of product there will give you a very large impact. Because I've almost removed her, but from certain angles she looks much stronger than others. But by just going back in, buffing and diffusing a little bit more, she'll look more natural on the skin. Each time we go in, she'll look a little bit softer, but I ain't trying to completely erase it because I got one more layer to put on top of her. And because this side don't look as strong, you can always go back in, add a little bit more, build and buff her back out. I'll be right back after I do this to all the areas on the face. And any remaining product after I buff out this double chin, honey, I just want that to look a little bit darker. So when you look up from like this, honey, she make that cutoff point right there so you focused on what's going on up here, honey. Don't be looking down here. I got my gym membership, I just ain't found the right trainer yet. Alright. Next, for finishing powders, honey, even though I don't care how much I bake, how matte my foundation, anything is, I'm always going to finish it off with a shimmery body powder, face powder. My favorite one is the Laura Mercier Candle Glow Sheer Perfecting Powder, number 2, plus my Wayne Goss number 11 brush. I like to just swipe her all up in there, get her coated, and do one big sweep under each eye. Bam. Bam. Then diffuse her down over the cheek. You can even take her across the nose to help soften that up. But to me, this powder adds a glow to the skin. And I need that right there, shade number 2, to brighten the under eye area. Bam. Then we're going to take this same brush, same powder in shade number 3, which is going to act more like a bronzer. Load her up. Hit the sides of the nose first. Remember we went across the top first, so that top already has shade 2. Now we're going to contour around the edges with number 3. Same across the forehead. just don't want that matte powder to be what's sitting on top. We want the shimmery powder to come through. And because this powder has a color to it, it helps soften up any area that underneath it, like where we did that contour. Soft veil of color on top. And you can layer this as much as you want. I usually only go to about shade 3 because this is going to help bring warmth and color back to the skin. If I were to go in with shade 4, I would really be adding some warmth. Buff this slightly down the neck, honey. And you can see how I'm just continually adding powder, but it doesn't have me looking flat or dry or ashy. It's bringing color. It's bringing a slight glow. I love it. And then just to be extra, you don't have to do this, but I like to go in with shade number 1, my Wayne Goss airbrush. And I like to dip just one side of this brush in there, just swivel it across, tap off a little bit of that excess, and just because I'm extra, I like to sweep it right underneath the eye. Just swoop, swoop, and you see how I left just that slight white cast? Just make sure that's it right there. I want that Kim K bright under eye look. Knock off that excess and then use it to just diffuse the edges of that. I still want it to be extremely bright there. And if you feel as if you have too much, you can flip it over to the side that doesn't have any. Buff that out. Now, underneath my eyes, it's really bright, honey. You see that? Boom, boom. But the rest of the face still has a glow. It's just right here that you focused on. I love doing that trick. Next, we want to go in and highlight our features. And because I used too much last time, I have my loose powder here. This is the Fairy Bomb in 24 Cray. I don't even want to pull that other one out because I want to make sure I use this. Got me a fan brush. And we're just going to swirl this in here and get me some product. This is just a small little container because I accidentally tapped too much out. And baby, she is pigmented, she is beautiful, she is sparkly. And I always like to start in the center of the face, right there at the nose, honey. I know sometimes that can take it too far, but with me, it's never too far. Look at that. Beaming. And it just smells like a nice vanilla cookie. Oh my goodness. Cupid's bow of the brows. I am feeling sparkly. I am feeling glittery. I am feeling pretty. Honey, give me a little bit more because when we go in for these cheeks, I want to go in for the beam. Watch this. Look at this. Watch this. You paying attention? Watch it. Look. Honey, imagine how I felt realizing this just been sitting on the shelf and I wasn't using her. I'm seriously debating on getting them other shades that don't even fit my complexion, girl. And just because there's still product left on the brush, we just gonna continue to dust her. Just fabulous, honey, just fabulous. Next for lips, we gotta go ahead, get our liner going. This is the Juvia's Place Luxe Lip Liner in the shade Cola. Honey, you can't tell me nothing about her. I usually don't prefer retractable lip liner pencils. But you know, with Juvia's Place, you always gotta let them be the exception, honey. They my babies. Most other companies, I need to be able to sharpen it. But we're gonna go ahead and let them do their thing. I'm not really overlining it, but I am lining it up to the very point that my lips stop and filling it in rather heavy because we're gonna buff that out. Baby, look at her, look at her. She looking dark now, but we gonna lighten her up. Trust me, we gonna get her together. And honey, you can use whatever you like to diffuse your lip line. I personally like to use this e.l.f. Ultra Smudge Brush just because I figure it gives me more precision. And I just like to go in, back and forth, and just diffuse that line. I don't like to erase the very edge, but I need to see that ombre coming through, honey. And I start off at the bottom just because I got bigger lips on the bottom. And just get to erasing, getting closer to the edge. That's it. For lipstick, we're going to be using the Fenty Mademoiselle and Single one. This is one of my favorite ones just because I like the name. It's more of a nude color. I personally like to go just a little bit lighter, but this is the one I wear the most. And we're just going to go ahead, fill her in, top and bottom. And then I just go back and forth to see, do I need a little more liner? Alrighty, now that we get opacity with the lipstick, I'm going to take my liner brush and see if we can get that diffused a little bit. This will help swipe and erase just a tiny bit of that lipstick from the edge. And I like to do that before I go back in with my lip liner itself, just because, like I said, it helps remove a little bit of that product and makes going back over and tracing again a little easier. And now when I go in and see, yeah, it's less product for my pencil to fight with. And just trace my lips one more time. And that way that ombre comes back even easier. And that's good enough for me, sis. I might want to go back in just the very, very center. Where did I put that lipstick? And highlight right there, like. Alright, we're going to leave it just like that. Because we're going to mess it up if we keep adding more and more. Last step, honey, is going back in with our Diamond Balm. Honey, I'm telling you, highlighting my inner corner and my brow bone is one of my favorite parts. MAC still carries the 242 brush, but they have it in synthetic. This is the natural hair one, but any very thin shader brush will work. You just want to load up your brush first. And then we're going to go in and highlight our inner corners because this is when it has the most amount of product. Just hit it right there. It's going to be nice. It's going to be sparkly. And look at that. She is just nice and coppery and shimmery and beautiful. And then what is left, we're going to just take and use that to highlight right underneath the brow. Just a soft, shimmery, glimmering veil, honey. And honey, this is the entire look. If you just wanted to do the eyes, you saw we were able to go in and do that. But I realized I have not done a full face tutorial for you all in quite a while. So I wanted to go ahead and just get that going, show you all how I usually do my makeup. Right now, there's nothing left to do but go ahead and set everything. So make sure you get your sprays because you know I'm going to get mine. Fix Plus to give us a glowy do. All-nighter so things last all day. Cheap fan, expensive breeze, good times. Gonna give this a few more seconds to dry and I'll be back to show you all the final look. And this is the final look. Want to go ahead and give you all a full face view of things. And I'm telling you all, honey, this look is absolutely stunning. When I threw it together last time, I really thought it was just going to be me showing you all how much I like the Fenty Beauty Powder Foundation. When I first got it, it was in the shade 370. It was just way too dark and I just kept telling myself, you really look like you've just been sitting in the sun all day. It just looks way too tanned on you. Upgraded now to shade 345, and as you can see, this looks nice and beautiful. I know I did add those extra powders and things like that in Baked, even though this was a powder foundation, but no matter what foundation I'm wearing, I'm going through those same steps. And I just wanted to give you all an updated foundation routine because it's been quite a while since I've done one. And it's also funny that I think this is the third or fourth time that I've used the Moroccan Spice palette on my channel, and I now finally have updated swatches. I ain't gonna lie, I was only gonna swatch those two shades until I realized it's helpful for you all. It keeps me in routine, and it makes me want to continue to do swatches on larger palettes, because many times you see a palette with 3, 4, 5 shadows and you like, you know what, I can get that and I'll be gone. But honestly, it'll be nice to know that other people who either have my complexion or are a little bit darker than me can see exactly what real swatches look like that have been unaltered, because trust me, I understand what it means when you look online and you see the swatches that the company has provided and then you get it home and it looks like a completely different palette. But this bad boy here, you may not be able to get it, but if you have it in your collection, you might want to pull it back out the way I do. Also, we got to give a shout out to these Fenty Beauty Diamond Bombs, honey. I love them all. I have them all, and I have all intentions on keeping up with every single shade they release. I don't care if they drop 5 at one time. I'm going to go broke trying to get all 5. I really, really wish she will come out with a miniature set the way she had, like with her gloss bombs and everything else. If she can come out with a miniature set of like 4 of these with 4 brand new colors that we've never had before, I would truly be in love. But if she keeps coming out with these, I hope she keeps the trend of dropping just 1, if not 2 at a time, because my pockets can't hold up with these. But this thing here, I might not have never used it on the cheeks, but on the eyes, as you can see, she is just a warm, beautiful glow. And when I head to the market later on, I already know I'm going to stop and grab somebody's attention. Also from Fenty Beauty, you already know, the mascara, it's been out for quite a while. The thing is, I really like this one, but I want to try it in that green shade because I personally have never tried a green mascara. And it's like, if any brand is going to be able to get me to try it, why not go ahead and try from Fenty? Unfortunately, I do believe they are discontinuing the Mademoiselle lipsticks. Every store that I've seen has sold out with them, and they don't appear to be restocking. I haven't heard anything about Fenty Beauty saying they're going to restock. I truly believe what they're going to do is come out with a new bullet lipstick formula. These were the original few, and when they first dropped, I'm looking up at my thing right here, I believe they originally dropped with 14 shades. I had all 14 when they first came out. The single one is probably the one I've worn the absolute most, and as you can see, she just looks like a nice, beautiful nude. Nothing that's going to take over any look. Nothing that just, you know, scares you. I'm like, wait, you know, that's a real powdery nude. Just something professional for every day. So I absolutely love her. But for me, although you all was loving the eyes, it is me who is loving this powder foundation. When I first got into makeup, liquid foundation scared me because I thought everything was going to be heavy and cakey. So mineral and powder foundation is where I was at. So to now have this Fenty Beauty in 345, as you can tell, I do got me a nice little warm glow because I layered up my powders and things. But this looks way better on me than that 370. So I see me not changing up. I have seen where they show 2 different shades were in TJ Maxx. I believe they were only those 2 shades because those 2 were the hardest to sell. But let me find out this is going to be in TJ Maxx, honey, and you're going to catch me in that store because I'm going to need about 2 or 3 of those for summer coming up. But with nothing else, honey. Oh, brows. Shout out to Fenty Beauty with the Brow MVP. I'm telling you, if for any reason I were to give up my ABH brow pencils, Fenty would be the ones that would take the crown for me because every time I've used this, I've loved it. But because I only have one of these because they are new, and I have several of the ABHs because over the years they've had many half-off sales, I'm trying to run through those, but I already know for sure when she run out, I would definitely get another one of these. But I've been talking long enough. I hope you all truly did enjoy this tutorial. If you all would like to see more full face tutorials, because I know I don't do them too often, just go ahead and make sure you leave me a comment down below and I can make that happen for you. I know I'm about to go ahead and head to the grocery store because it is a few things that I need, and I'm telling you, honey, it's going to hurt my feelings to have to come back and go ahead and take this off to get this video edited for you. But I hope you all have been enjoying the content. I hope you all been having a wonderful spring. Here in Michigan, the rain been fighting back and forth, but we ain't had no true flood yet or anything like that. So I'm keeping myself braced for it. But with nothing else, I hope you all remember to practice, continue to stay blessed, and until next time, goodbye, YouTube.